My name is Mark. I've always considered myself a steady, no-frills kind of man, rooted in routine, devoted to my family, my work, and the familiar rituals that gave shape to my life. But that illusion fractured one weekend I'll never forget. It all began with what seemed like a harmless favor, a simple hunting trip, the kind I'd taken dozens of times before. Only this time I wasn't going alone. At my wife's insistence, I agreed to take someone else along, a colleague of hers, someone I barely knew. What happened out there, miles from civilization, deep in the forest, would erode the lines I thought were permanent. It challenged every restraint I believed I had, and it left me with questions I still can't shake. I'm not sharing this for sympathy or judgment. I'm telling it because it changed something in me, and it's not over. Every year, the first weekend in November signals the start of deer season, my personal high holy day. For me, it's not just about the hunt. It's a ritual of stillness, solitude, a time to reconnect with the land and leave the noise of life behind. For the last 12 years, my wife Lisa and I have made our remote Missouri cabin the heart of that tradition. We built the trails, planted food plots, and turned those 20,000 acres into our private Eden. But this year was different. A few weeks back over dinner, Lisa told me she wouldn't be joining me. She'd been chosen to attend a state-level conference on education reform. I was proud of her, of course, but the idea of spending my birthday and the opener alone didn't exactly thrill me, especially after my health scare earlier that spring. She didn't want me going out there alone. I understood, but I didn't expect her solution. Chloe. She was one of Lisa's co-workers. I'd met her maybe twice. Friendly, high energy, recently divorced, younger, a lot younger. Lisa thought it would be good for both of us. Company for me, a new experience for Chloe. I was skeptical, to put it mildly. The woods aren't exactly beginner-friendly, and I'd been craving silence, not small talk. Friday evening, I pulled into Chloe's driveway, per Lisa's instructions. I gave the horn a quick tap. Felt strange doing it. The door swung open. There she was, silhouetted against the porch light, weighed down with more bags than I thought possible. "Hey, Mark," she called out, cheerful and bright. I stepped out to help her load up. "Planning to move in?" I joked, nodding to the tower of gear. She laughed. Lisa said to be prepared. I might have gone a little overboard. She talked the entire drive, about work, her divorce, oddball stories from her life. At first it was more noise than I wanted, but somewhere along the way her energy became disarming. She had a way of filling space without demanding it. I found myself listening, smiling. We reached the cabin just after 9. The moon hung low over the clearing, casting everything in silver. I got to work firing up the generator, stoking the wood stove. Chloe took her things up to the loft. By the time the fire was crackling, the place felt lived in again. I sank into the couch, trying to settle into a war movie I'd seen before. Just as I started to relax, Chloe called down, "Mind if I shower?" "Go ahead," I answered without looking up. A few minutes later, the stairs creaked. I glanced up and froze. Chloe was walking past, wrapped in a towel that barely held together. It rode up as she moved, her legs bare, shoulders damp and glowing in the firelight. I looked away, jaw clenched, eyes fixed on the television. My pulse thudded in my ears. This weekend just got complicated. As I tried to refocus on the battle scene playing out on the screen, my thoughts unraveled. The sound of water running behind the thin cabin walls, her voice humming softly, the image of her towel slipping higher as she climbed. I hated that it stayed with me. I told myself to shut it down. She was Lisa's friend. This wasn't that kind of trip. But denial is a fragile thing when temptation walks 10 feet away in a towel and acts like nothing happened. When the shower finally stopped, I sat rigid, avoiding the bathroom door like it might burst open. She emerged moments later, fresh-faced, hair wrapped in a towel, now dressed in navy shorts and a cropped white top. The fabric clung just enough to be distracting. "All set for tomorrow?" I asked, voice steadying itself. "Yup," she said. holding up an empty peanut butter jar. Need this for later. I didn't ask. She plopped down next to me on the couch, her scent immediately noticeable, a sweet mix of something floral and warm. I shifted slightly, suddenly aware of how small the couch felt. "Thanks for letting me come," she said, eyes locked on mine. Lisa made it sound amazing, and I really needed this. "I think you'll like it," I managed, trying to keep my tone neutral. "It's quiet, peaceful." She smiled, tucking her legs beneath her. Her thigh brushed my knee. Whether it was accidental or not, I couldn't say. We talked hunting basics for the next hour: gear, blinds, safety tips. She asked good questions, nodding along, but now and then her gaze lingered, too long, too curious. As the fire danced shadows on the walls, she reached up to stretch, her shirt lifting enough to show a sliver of her lower back. I pretended not to notice. I failed. Eventually, she stood with the peanut butter jar in hand. "I'm going to call it a night. Thanks again, Mark. This weekend's already been great." "Night," I said, watching her climb the stairs. Every step slow, deliberate. She didn't look back. I exhaled, slumping into the couch, the tension in my chest like a stone. I had a feeling this trip was only getting started. The next morning, my alarm buzzed me into a cold gray dawn. I rolled out of bed, sleep-deprived and unsettled. I dreamed of her, unintentionally. Her laugh, her bare skin in the firelight. No, focus. This was about hunting, nothing else. I dressed quickly, layering thermals under my camo. When I stepped into the main room, I smelled coffee. I called up to the loft. "Time to get moving, Chloe." "Okay, just a sec," she called back, groggy but awake. I turned my attention to breakfast, bacon and eggs in the cast-iron pan, a small ritual I'd always enjoyed. I kept my back to the stairs, not expecting what came next. The floor creaked. I turned, instinctively, and stopped breathing. Chloe descended the spiral staircase completely unclothed. Calm, unhurried, as if it were nothing. Her skin caught the soft light. Her hair, still damp, clung to her collarbone. She walked past me like she belonged there, utterly unfazed. "Morning," she said, cheerful, casual. I spun back toward the stove. You might want to grab a sweater. It's freezing." "Out," she laughed, a sound that hovered between mischief and innocence. "Oh, Mark, it's just skin." I gripped the spatula, unsure whether to respond or stay silent. My heart was pounding. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a line being drawn in the frost and crossed without hesitation. She stepped past me, opened the fridge, and pulled out that peanut butter jar. Bent slightly over the counter, her back to me. And that's where I'll stop. Because from here, the story starts changing in ways I wasn't prepared for. She didn't flinch at her own nudity. I tried to keep my eyes on the stove, but it was like trying not to look at the sun. "We're leaving soon," I said, voice tight. "You'll freeze. Out there." She tossed a glance over her bare shoulder, grinning. "Relax, I'll get dressed." Only when I heard her footsteps fade upstairs did I realize I'd been holding my breath. I shook it off and focused on the eggs. By the time she came back, she was fully suited in camo, like nothing had happened. She joined me at the table, chatting easily, laughing like we were old friends. But beneath her smiles, something simmered. I couldn't tell if she was teasing me or just completely unaware. After breakfast, we loaded up the ATV. She climbed on behind me, arms sliding around my waist. Her warmth pressed into my back, impossible to ignore as we tore through the morning woods. At the sight, I handed her the rifle. "From here we walk," Inoi nodded, her eyes bright. "Lead the way." The silence in the forest echoed the silence between us. Every glance from her felt like a test, every smile like a dare. I was walking a line I had no business approaching. We reached the blind, a small box nestled in the trees. "This is it," I said. "It's perfect." I held the door open. She slipped inside, close enough to feel. The sun crept over the horizon. bathing the clearing in gold. I passed her the rifle. Safety first. Don't load until you're ready. She nodded, focused. For a while, we sat in silence. Her knee brushed mine. Probably an accident. Still, I felt it. It's peaceful out here, she whispered. Yeah, I said. That's why I come. Just the woods and quiet. She looked at me briefly. Thanks for bringing me. I know. It's different now. I hesitated. It's okay. Everyone deserves to feel this once. Then, movement. I nudged her, pointing. A buck stepped into view. Wait for the broadside, I whispered. Right behind the shoulder. She raised the rifle. Breathed. A click. No shot. No round chambered. I asked gently. She looked frustrated. I thought it was ready. It's fine, I said. You'll get another chance. She leaned back, disappointed. I feel stupid. You're not. It takes time. She peeled off her jacket. It's hot in here. I forced my eyes back to the clearing, tried not to notice her tank top, or the way her skin flushed in the rising heat. Do you always wait this long? She asked. Patience is part of it. I'm not great at patience, she said, leaning back. You learn. The woods teach you. She looked at me. You're good at being still. Calming. I didn't answer, just nodded. She shifted again, peeling off another layer. My throat dried. Much better, she said, stretching. Yeah, it'll cool down later, I muttered. She closed her eyes, resting. The curve of her neck, her breath. Everything felt too close. You ever get lonely out here? She asked. Sometimes, I admitted. But the quiet helps. She turned to me, eyes steady. I'd go crazy alone. It's not for everyone. She was quiet, then smiled. Well, you've got me now. I laughed nervously. Yeah, I guess I do. She leaned in, voice low. You don't mind, do you? I shook my head. No, of course not. She brushed my arm. Just a light touch, but it hit like a spark. Thanks for bringing me, she said softly. I know it's different without your wife, but I'm glad it's us. I swallowed, nodding. Yeah, me too. Her gaze lingered, then turned back to the clearing. I followed, pretending I still remembered why we were out there. But I knew something had shifted. The line I wasn't supposed to cross was already fading. I could have stopped it. The sun was sinking, casting a golden glow over the treetops. But the beauty barely touched me. Chloe sat beside me, her presence a quiet pull I couldn't ignore. Every shift, every glance, each one pulled me deeper, no matter how hard I resisted. We waited in silence, hoping another deer would appear. But the real pressure wasn't out there. It was in here. She moved slightly, her bare arm brushing mine. It was brief, delicate, but it struck something raw. I tightened my hold on the rifle, grounding myself. Sorry I missed earlier, she said, voice soft. It's fine, I replied, a bit harsher than I intended. Everyone misses. She looked at me, eyes uncertain. You think I'll get another chance? I held her gaze a moment too long. Maybe. Deer don't follow rules, but you have to stay ready. She nodded, offering a faint smile. Didn't think this trip would feel so loaded. The word lingered. I turned away, scanning the trees. Part of the deal. The silence returned, heavier now. She leaned forward to fix her boot, her hair brushing against me. A trace of her shampoo lingered. I told myself I imagined it, but then she looked straight at me. You've gone quiet, she said, gentle. Just focused, I muttered. She smirked. You're a terrible liar. I gave a weak laugh. Not lying. She leaned closer, voice barely audible. You're distracted. I can feel it. I froze, pulse quickening. Chloe? Her fingers landed on my arm, barely a touch. You don't have to. Explain, she whispered. I feel it too. I turned away, clinging to reason. This isn't right. Maybe, she said, but it doesn't feel wrong. Her words undid me. I should have pushed back, but I didn't. I hadn't felt this alive in years. Chloe. She brushed her fingers along my cheek. Don't speak. As the last of the light slipped away, I made a quiet choice. I leaned in. Her lips touched mine, tentative and testing. I didn't retreat. I drew her close. Guilt surged. My wife's face flickered through my thoughts. Her trust. But Chloe's breath caught against mine, and the world faded. "This is wrong," I murmured. "Maybe," she whispered, "but it doesn't feel that way." I didn't reply. I couldn't. Her eyes held no games, just the same fear and ache I carried. "Tell me to stop, and I will," she said. "Otherwise—" I looked at her. "Don't," she smiled, slow and sure. This time, the kiss deepened, intentional, consuming. Her arms circled me. I held her like I hadn't held anyone in years. We stayed like that. The forest vanished. The cold faded. Only the fire between us remained. Eventually, the chill returned. She shivered. I pulled away. "We should head back." She nodded, resting her head on my shoulder. "I wish this didn't have to end." "Maybe it doesn't," I said, before I could stop myself. The words landed heavy. Later, in the cabin, firelight danced across her face. She sat across from me. "This changes everything, doesn't it?" I nodded. "Yeah." The silence felt like a verdict, but underneath it, something throbbed. A bond, undeniable. She cradled her mug, staring at the flames. Regret flickered in her eyes. So did confusion. I felt it too. "We need to talk," I said. She nodded. "I know. I just don't know where to start." I leaned forward. "What happened? It can't happen again." She agreed quietly. I knew it was wrong, even in the moment. But what? "It felt real," she said. "Something I didn't realize I needed. I didn't want to let it go." I swallowed. I understood. There'd been a void in me for so long. Chloe had filled it, if only for a while. It felt real to me too, I admitted. But we crossed a line. Her voice shook. "Do you regret it?" I hesitated. "I regret what it could ruin. My wife, your friendship with her. But the moment itself, feeling alive again. No, I don't regret that." She blinked back tears. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I thought maybe it would stay simple." So did I. But now it's complicated. "We need to move carefully, quietly." She nodded. "No one will know. No second chances, no slips. It ends here." "I understand." Eventually, she stood. "I'm going to bed." I watched her walk upstairs. Only then did I let out a breath. The weight of it pressed hard. I couldn't undo what happened, but I could control what came next. As the fire died, I made a promise. No more reckless slips. This was the last fall. Still, in the quiet, I couldn't help but wonder, if it happened again, would I have the strength to say no? One thing became clear. Every decision carves its mark. Boundaries exist for a reason. Temptation whispers, but the aftermath roars. If something's missing, speak it. Don't chase silence with secrets, because some cracks never seal, and betraying yourself is the costliest wound of all.